and men who have come to regret their very, very sad choice of having an abortion. Planned Parenthood had lied to me. They betrayed me in a very personal way. My relationship with them began when I was 18 years old in college. I was visiting another friend at another college and in New York City, and told her I had a boyfriend, and she said, "Oh, you have to go to Planned Parenthood." I'm like, "Why? I'm not sexually active." She said, "But you have to go to Planned Parenthood." So she took me there, and I went in, and they said, "Why are you here? Do you need an abortion?" I said, "No, no, I haven't had sex. I don't need an abortion. I was just told to come here to talk about things." I left that Planned Parenthood with oral contraceptives. They told me I needed the pill and to have it and to start it right away. Um, I did. I ended up becoming sexually active. I had a very bad reaction to those oral contraceptives. I had pains in my leg that they thought were a blood clot. So I went back to Planned Parenthood and they said, "Oh, that was a little too strong for you. Try this one." They gave me another pill. That pill also made me sick. So they said, "Okay, we're going to give you a solution where you won't have to take any pills. It'll be so much easier." They were going to put an IUD into me. They did not explain what it was, what the consequences were, what the side effects were. They put me on a table, put a clamp on me, on my cervix, and tried to insert this. When the doctor was having trouble, the thing that they held, the cervix, was slipped off and sliced off the end of my cervix. They did nothing for me. They said, "Well, just go back home and we'll try you on another pill." Um, that so traumatized me, I decided I would never go back to Planned Parenthood again. Fast forward, I became married, had 2 children. That marriage fell apart, and I found myself single again, separated from the husband, dating who would later become my second husband. When I found out I was pregnant, I went to him and said, "Oh, we've got to do something. We're going to work this out, right?" And he said, "Oh, well, I don't think so. This is your choice, but if you have an abortion, I'll pay for it." That was not the message I wanted to hear. And indeed, everyone I turned to said to me that abortion was my only choice. So I caved on everything I believed in, went into the Planned Parenthood here in Washington, D.C., and the lies continued. One of the first things when I entered there is that they gave me a packet of forms to fill out, one of which was a permission slip that they asked me to sign that said that I gave them permission to do whatever they liked with what they termed the product of conception. I went back to the woman and said, "I don't feel comfortable signing this." She goes, "It's just the regular release you do for any kind of surgery." And I'd had 2 children. I knew what a baby was. I knew what they were talking about with product of conception. And I knew that I've never signed that before when I had my 2 C-sections, and nothing about specific tissue donation. And I said I didn't want to do that. And she said, "Well, then you can't have your abortion today because it's really important for you to do that." So I started to cave, thinking I was going to just walk out right there. And she said, "Wait a minute, are you an organ donor?" And I said I was. And she said, "Well, what you think is your baby, that's really not a baby yet, it's still a clump of tissues. Um, but what you think is your baby would be used for good if you sign this form." And told me that when I questioned again, that there was research that could lead to the discovery of cures for cancer and all these mighty things, and it was really a wonderful thing to go ahead and to sign this form and give them that permission. And in that broken state that I was in, I stupidly signed that form. Went into the room. The very first time I saw the doctor was when he came over to me and started the procedure. I was pushed down on a table and told to lie very still. And immediately after they said I'd feel a slight pressure, I felt like it was not a slight pressure. I felt like my insides were being ripped out as the remains of my child were being sucked into a vacuum and a glass jar that was right next to my eyes. I wanted to die. That was my child in that jar. And the doctor, when he was done, took the jar and dumped it onto a tray and started pushing around on the parts and yelled at me and said, "How pregnant were you?" I don't think I got all the parts. And it started the whole procedure over again, and it hurt more than the first time. When I again tried to move, the nurse pushed me down and said, "You'll hurt yourself. You'll perforate your uterus, or something will happen if you move." So I lay very still and cried. He left after that second time and told the nurse, but for lack of a better name, I don't know if she was a nurse, she was just a person who was in the room, who was being paid by Planned Parenthood, she continued to push around the body parts. I was taken from that room into another room for, I guess, recovery, except there were some canvas cots about 6 inches off the floor, and there were rows of them, and there were other women lying there. And instead of the health care that we come to believe as Planned Parenthood espouses that they give women, there was no care whatsoever. They depersonalized me, they depersonalized my baby. I was there with these women who were crying, sobbing out loud, some just staring vacantly at the ceiling. There was no follow-up care. Eventually they said, get dressed. I went back to the front desk as I was leaving and said I wanted that form back. I changed my mind. I did not want my baby used in that way. And they told me it was too late. They wouldn't give me the form back. I left there that day with the only instructions from them is that if I ran a very high fever or extraordinary bleeding, that I should call my doctor. That was the level of health care that I received that day. It was not health care. I was betrayed by Planned Parenthood. Instead of it being a quick and easy fix, that I would be fine, they lied to me. I was not fine. I wasn't fine then. I'm not fine today. Many years have passed and I've gone through healing and I've worked in the pro-life movement, and I'm very committed to this cause because I do not want to see other men and women continually hurt by abortion. The truth of the stories speak for themselves. I have 18 pages of testimony of women who have been hurt by Planned Parenthood. I ask you and all the leaders on the Hill, every member of Congress, to go to just Google Experience Trump's Rhetoric, silentnomoroeawareness.com. Look there and you'll see these stories. I sat the other day and read for 2 hours tales of women telling exactly the truth of what happens in Planned Parenthood. It is not health care. It does not help women. It needs to be defunded. Now is the time. Thank you so much.